This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Chris Chadwick, the CEO of MetalNRG, following news that the company has signed a binding agreement to acquire 100% of CMO from Managem, which includes the operational and profitable copper mine in Morocco. Well, thank you very much for your time, Chris. Good to speak to you again. It was a while ago that we spoke. We were talking about the new direction and what you were looking at with opportunities in producing or near producing assets with upside potential in gold and copper. And well, this looks like one of those transactions has concluded. So how are you feeling about this? It's been presumably a long time in the works.
No, thank you, Mark. And it has. I mean, this is the effectively years of work to get to this stage. As we spoke last time, there was a number of really good projects that we were looking at. It's important when you reposition a company like MetalNRG that the first transaction that you do is critical, because it puts you on the map. Obviously your new investors and your shareholders are looking at the quality of the asset that you bring into the structure. So we were very careful in terms of the project, our first project, and being a copper project, being producing, being cash flow positive, being in Morocco as well, it ticked a huge amount of boxes. So we're very, very pleased with the outcome.
Okay, good. And of course, the acquisition is valued at $30 million, which is obviously a considerable amount of money. And I think an additional $2 million is payable 1 year after you've completed it. So could you perhaps just talk us through this transaction? It's an RTO, isn't it?
Yes, it's an RTO, and the reason why is because it just fundamentally changes the nature of MetalNRG. So in terms of the main board listing requirements, the main board insists that we effectively go through a delisting and a relisting of the company, based on our eligibility of remaining on the main board, which we will meet. So it's regarded as an RTO, but with that comes the prospectus, and the being a mining company comes the CPR as well, which obviously provides the market with substantial information prior to the RTO. So it's the beauty of listing a mining company, and I've done this a number of times before, is that the CPR provides new investors and current shareholders with a lot of really detailed information in terms of the underlying project, which is always good.
Yes, indeed. So that CPR is being worked on presently, is it?
Yes, yeah. It's as is the prospectus. So we're looking to be able to lodge the prospectus with the authorities as soon as possible, so we can get that process started. And the CPR is a big component of that of the prospectus. So both of those are imminent.
Okay, and just in terms of how this transaction came about and the party who are selling it, I mean, what's the situation here? The party looking to dispose of that asset for any particular reason? They want to get stock exchange listing? Anything you can give on how it came about?
No, thanks, Mark. It's a very, very good question. So Managem themselves are the largest mining company in Morocco. They've been mining in Morocco for the past 95 years, and reputationally, you can't get better across Africa. They've had a change of strategy over the past sort of couple of years, where they're really positioning themselves as a tier one operator across the region, and because of that, they're moving up in terms of the size of the operations that they're looking to develop and acquire. So there's a lot of underlying non-core projects now that Managem are looking to offload. But again, given their reputation in country, it's absolutely critical that they offload them to operators that are going to respect what they have done in the past. So their reputation in Morocco and in fact in the region is very important to them. So they've looked for trusted management teams and trusted funders that they can work with, and in ourselves, fortunately, they've found partners, which is good.
Okay, good. So it's not that they're sort of done with the asset. It's still got a lot of potential. It's just that for what they're doing with it at the moment, it doesn't fit part of their portfolio anymore.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what you found with most of the majors. That when they've got the smaller assets that are, there's only so much management and executive bandwidth you can give across a portfolio, and and unfortunately, smaller assets like this just don't warrant that amount of executive bandwidth in a tier one.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the beauty of what we bring along, because we bring the management attention, the focus, as well as any potential investment which is required. So
okay. Okay, good. Well, talking on the investment that's required, you say in the RNS it will be partly financed with a $25 million convertible loan note from Orion Resource Partners. So why was the CLN route chosen over other options?
Yeah, I mean, we very carefully looked at the operation, the life of mine, the potential to extend the life of mine, as well as improve the the efficiencies on site as well. And together with Hanneman Partners and Orion, we sat down and looked at what we believed was the best finance structure for not only for the asset, but also would align us with both current and future shareholders. This is a long-term relationship. It's in terms of Hanneman Partners, in terms of Orion, we're looking to build out a mid-tier copper company, and with the assistance from our advisors and funders. So you have to structure something which is appropriate, and we believe we've done that. Some convertible loan note structures get a bad rap, just because the fact that the way they're structured can create a share price overhang if they're not structured correctly. But again, we ourselves and advisors very wary of that, and we believe we put an appropriate structure in place.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I think with convertible loan notes, they can effectively convert that loan into shares. Normally, is that right?
Yes. And often the issue is just how they convert. Where and again, you just got to be very careful how you put these structures in place, so it doesn't impact your ongoing share price and your ability to bring in new investors. So again, we're working with the best in the market in terms with Orion and Hanneman Partners. So we're very confident we've put the, as I said, correct and appropriate structures in place.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And in terms of when you can communicate that officially, that will come out sort of during the course of the prospectus, will it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
okay. Good.
The prospectus will give all that detail.
Perfect. And just on Orion, then, you say you're working with the best. Can you give us some more information on sort of who they are, who Orion are, what they've done before in this sort of space?
Yeah. So I mean, Orion are it's an $8 billion asset management company with they're very much focused in the mining space. Offices across the world. They've got 80 professionals that work within within the company. I've worked with Orion for many years. We've looked at doing numerous transactions together. I've got a very, very strong relationship with the guys. Their current focus is is very much sort of copper and then looking at strong emerging market countries. So for Orion, this was very much sweet spot in terms of for Orion as well. So it's it's really it's really, again, just a strong partnership and a partnership that's not going to be restricted to this just this one transaction.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess it's the best way to go. I mean, considering how difficult it is at the moment as well to indeed sort of raise money on some of the capital markets around the world, and structuring of that CLN, as you say, very important. So we can wait to see when the prospectus comes out the terms of that. Just on so that they give you 25 million access to that fund. So you've still got to get another sort of 5 or so, have you then, to complete the transaction?
Yes. So we've been in we in advanced discussions with strategic investors. That we should be in a position to be able to announce that prior to the RTO, and I think when we do that, it again I think it will just give the market more in terms of what we're bringing to market, and in terms of credibility and size of what we actually bring into market, which is good.
Okay, good. And so timelines on this, Chris. Yes. It's always hard, I know, to pin down on timelines, but I mean, you must have a rough idea of when you want to get that CPR and that prospectus completed.
Yes, I mean, there's a couple of things that are out of our control. In terms of the formal approval of the prospectus, because you're never really too sure. Yeah, typically, again, in the mining space, because there's so much reliance placed on a third-party CPR, the process tends to be smoother and quicker. But again, it's something which is out of our control. I mean, it's obvious that we want to close this as quickly as possible, and given where we are in the year, it would be really good to be able to have this, closed before the festive season. But again, we can't. There's a couple of things which are out of our control, and we just have to push as well as we can from our side.
Okay. Good. And of course, the company's going to rebrand as part of this as well.
Yes.
So Atlas Metals will be the new Atlas Metals Group will be the new name.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Which we're excited about. I mean, it's Atlas itself. It has a nice ring to it, but it's also the mountain range in Morocco that we would drive through to site when we were doing our due diligence and post due diligence sort of site visits. So it's
okay.
And we've got the AMG stock ticker, which we'll have on the London Stock Exchange, which I think is nice as well. So.
Sure. So just on the name then, on Atlas, does that mean that the focus is going to be really in Morocco? I know you've talked before about other opportunities. I mean, what are we looking at here for the company? Is it going to be purely this new copper project in Morocco, further projects in Morocco, or are you still looking globally? Still looking globally.
We've got some opportunities. We still have some opportunities in Morocco, which we're looking at. Again, we've got a strong relationship with Managem. There's other opportunities that we can look at jointly with Managem as well. In country. So it's good that we can leverage that relationship, but also looking at other assets, but in similar jurisdictions. Mark, I mean, Morocco at the moment is very highly regarded across Africa. In fact, it comes number one in various surveys, mining surveys in Africa. So those are the type of jurisdictions that we want to focus on.
Okay, good to hear. And of course, you, as I said at the start, you're now the CEO of the company, soon to be called Atlas Metals. You said earlier you want to build a mid-tier copper company,
yes.
And of course, looking at upside. So if you can give us a sense of, first of all, the upside from this project that you've acquired now, but secondly, how are you going to do this? What's your plan of execution once you've got the RTO completed and got the funds and effectively can hit the road?
Yeah. So in terms of the current project, there's numerous efficiencies that we can bring to bear on the project relatively quickly. But it's a large land package, Mark, and it's 200 square kilometer land package, and the geologists have identified some very strong targets on that property that just need a bit of investment and a bit of drilling to prove up. That's likely to extend the life of mine significantly, but potentially could also sort of uncover new projects on the site as well. So there's a lot of opportunity on CMO itself. But also regionally, there's opportunities as well, which we're looking at, and then over and above that, again looking at other sort of strong emerging market countries. I mean, the strategy in the short to medium term is to build a 4, 5, 6 operations mid-tier copper company, and really focusing on the quality of the operations, low technical risk, good margins and strong cash flows.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's really the short to midterm strategy.
Well, that's ambitious. 4 to 6 copper projects, really. So that's ambitious. This is the first cab off the rank, so to speak.
Yeah.
Can you give anything on details of the project, or will that have to follow later with the CPR? I'm just thinking here on its current revenue streams, if it's currently producing, the current life of mine, and what you said you want to go and sort of drill some other targets. Yeah. So is it currently making money? Can you sort of hit the ground running and look to extend the life of mine as you talked about?
Yeah, so we put out in the announcement that last year did $28 million in revenues in the year December 2023. It is cash flow positive. It's been running since 2014, and is profitable. So so again, the CPR will provide a conservative view of the way forward, and then it's up to the management team to unlock some of the upside potential thereafter, really, and bring that to market.
But in theory, once it completes, the company will effectively be revenue generating from day one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We're looking to increase that. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you for that, Chris, for today. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more. We can go into more details on the project itself, looking at some of the metrics and the plans, perhaps once that CPR has worked its way through the system. But for now, thank you very much for your time. Chris Chadwick, the CEO of MetalNRG.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.